since you and I have sat here?
Yeah, I think so.
The last live feed I did, I think you were off camera and you were moderating.
Oh yeah, with the trunk. You could see me in the, what's that, the last live feed? The trunk?
Maybe. Yeah,
And I was
you
on the
appeared
couch.
momentarily in that one.
Yeah.
But people are going to start to wonder where you're at. We got to get you on these live feeds.
Hiding in the distance.
But she's still here. She hasn't gotten sick of all my antics just yet.
No, I feel like.
Hello, Elaine in Ontario.
All right, let's see.
Hello, Todd
we
is
go.
with us. We'll see. This is the romper room that we're doing. We're doing the romper room
Kelly,
segment.
Elaine.
I see Amy and Sarah and Kathy. Hello.
Don't forget Wendy and Melissa.
Oh yeah. And we've got Missouri, people from all over the place. It's always interesting to see.
Matthew.
Lots of Ontario, Macon, Georgia.
Woo! Now it's going crazy.
Do they have a special bacon in Macon? Because I think that's an opportunity right there. If Kevin Bacon sold bacon in Macon.
Hi from PEI. We love PEI. It's pretty amazing.
It'd be Kevin Bacon's Making Bacon.
Wow. That's what's happening in your head right now?
Yeah, Kevin Bacon's making bacon. That's what needs to happen.
I need to put the little like swirly emoji on mine because that's all I can see so far.
What would be a good flavor for Georgia bacon? Peach flavored? Maybe be like bacon sizzling in peach schnapps, Georgian peaches or something. I don't know. Kevin Bacon, if you're listening, you need to do Kevin Bacon's Making Bacon.
I'm sure he's done a commercial where it was like something to do about. It was actually bacon.
Yeah, we were definitely excited to see everybody joining us today. We wanted to do an update because we have not done a bit of a chat in a little bit. And it's been a very busy week. It's been so busy, in fact, that I hadn't even had time to film. We are making good progress. I guess I'll talk about the store first, then I'll talk about what we've been up to, you and I. So at the store, I'll do a little update video and show you guys where it's at right now. It got painted. The inside of the store got painted.
I haven't even seen it yet.
We had a bit of a problem with the inside. Apparently an inspection wasn't called for at some point before the concrete got poured, and we were worried that they were going to have to actually jackhammer out our foundation to see the pipes underneath. I'd taken a video of it and posted it on our feed about the store updates, and he said, yeah, I can see the video, but I still want to see it live in person.
Right.
So luckily we came up with another solution, which was to do a camera scope, and my drafter Sean did what's called as-built drawings, and that sufficed, and we were able to pass the inspection. Thank goodness. Yeah, I know. Could you imagine? We have a building on top of it, and they want us to jackhammer out everything there. Just craziness. So it was needles and pins there for a little bit, wondering if we were going to have to actually remove a section of our foundation. Thank goodness we did not.
That would have been not great.
Well, especially because it's not just that. It's not just underneath the concrete. There's rebar.
Yeah.
So then I guess you'd have to jackhammer out the concrete and then cut out the rebar in that section, and I don't know, it would have been a hot mess, I can tell you that much. Big mix-up. It wasn't my contractor's fault. It was an issue with one of the original plumbers we had. Forgot to call for a permit that was kind of important.
Yeah.
Anyway, that got resolved, and now we're moving on to tile this coming week. So very soon, the inside of our new building will be getting new tile. And boy, it sure is starting to look like an actual little space in there.
And we're glad they didn't make us jackhammer it out two hands.
Yeah, that would have been the definition of something that sucked. That would have been a devastating blow to the timeline of us getting this place finished.
We were kind of, and thank you very much, Sparkle Flare. Today we were outside all day, so we kind of came fresh from the elements.
Yeah, we were outside enjoying the weather while we can.
And we had a chance to go swimming with the family today, which was a nice change, so cool us off. Drafter Sean helped to save the day.
Yeah.
Yes, he did,
So
Dave said.
When you see Nitrous Diecast on my channel commenting as he is just there, that's a friend of mine, Dave. Dave is well, he's more of a regular customer before, but he's working quite regularly, so I don't see him as much as I used to. But Dave's stepson is Sean, who's my drafter. See, I'm very loyal to the people in my lives, and I try and find people who are friends of friends or people that we know, because we try and keep it sort of close-knit. So this is how this all happened. Dave, Diecast Dave, or Nitrous Diecast on here, came into my store and we chat, and I was talking about putting up a building. He says, you should talk to my stepson. he's a drafter. So we talked to his stepson. He's a drafter. I asked him, who do you know that does concrete? Oh, well, I know a guy that does concrete. Well, before you know it, he's hooked me up with the concrete guy. Then we're looking for a home builder for our house. Well, Sean knows a guy who's looking to get more into home building. They've been building houses for other people for a long time, but they want to start their own company, and they're looking for kind of a project like this. So then we find our home builder. So if it wasn't for Diecast Dave coming in, chatting me up and buying a couple Hot Wheels here and there, we wouldn't have our dream house on its way.
Works.
It wouldn't have been as easy to find somebody, I think.
Well, and then they also knew a designer that they're friends with, both our home builder as well as our drafter.
Oh, you should tell them about what we've been going through with picking selections.
So
this is about our house build that we're working on.
Yeah, it's, you know, I don't know if I'm the best person to tell this story. It's great for the first like 2 hours, and then after that, it's kind of overwhelming. Like, I think by the end, I was like, oh, that's fine. Just let's get out of here. But the other thing is that Alexander and I know what we want. So I think these people set aside time for us, and they assume we're going to be there. We walk in and we're like, that's the one, and then we're ready to go, and they're like, what just happened here?
Except when it came to countertops, that was a different story.
No, countertops. By countertop time, I was so tired. The problem for the countertops for me was that it felt like they have a huge selection, but we needed, in our case, 3 slabs.
We had a Burger King budget, and everything in there was a steak.
But it wasn't just that; it was that they only had 1 slab, or it was all sold out, and then the things that were available weren't what we had wanted. So it felt like you were given 3 choices, and all 3 choices weren't what you wanted. So
we ended up
fine.
finding something that was good, but probably not exactly what we would have liked.
But at the same time, by the end of the picking session, you don't even care. You're just happy that you have countertops.
Okay, I have to paint the picture for them. We've never, for starters, the house that we're living in right now, the one that you see the wall behind us in every one of these videos, we are the original owners of this house, but it's what they call the spec home, which means we had no say in any of the finishes whatsoever. We had no idea that when you build a house from scratch, you have to pick the knobs that go on your cupboards, the type of cupboards, you have to pick the floor, the type of baseboard, the type of every selection in there has to be approved by you.
Yeah.
So it's kind of easier, I guess, when you buy a house that's already done, because you're like, well, I guess this is what we're working with, and then you pick your colors or paint it or whatever. So it's
and you change it as you go on. Like for us, we changed this into the home that we wanted, but we didn't get to start with that.
Yeah, we scraped the stipple and put it to smooth. Look. Woo. That's a smooth roof up there.
Now
we got rid of all the stipple.
Paint job that's kind of, you
a little
know.
wavy. That's all right.
That's because when I painted it, there was stipple up there. So trying to edge against stipple, if any of you have ever had to do that, the bumpiness on the ceiling, if you guys don't know what stipple is, it's not that great. So when they scraped off all the stipple, now our paint is kind of, you know.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame the stipple and not my shaky hands.
I guess where I was going with the selection process is it's a lot more exhausting than you think. We had several days which were full on like work, where we didn't stop from 8 in the morning until about 5 or 6 in the afternoon, nonstop going to places. You got to go to the cabinet people. You got to go to the flooring people. And I think we're done now, right?
Yeah,
I think so.
No, we have to. So we still have to do countertops. They have a thing called a cutting appointment where we actually get to pick on those slabs.
Even where your hole for the sink's going to be and stuff.
Not just that, which slab we're going to use for our countertop for, say, our island, and which part of that slab we want for our actual island. So they don't pick for us. So that's nice.
Yeah. But it's a lot of fun, but it's kind of like, it sounds like a lot of fun, kind of like getting a big giant sack full of candy. And you're like, oh boy, where am I going to start? And like 20 minutes in, maybe you're like, this is too much candy. That's how it felt. You're like, this is a lot of a good thing, and I'm actually so over this, I don't even want to look at candy anymore. That's what it's like doing home selections.
The nice thing, though, that we learned, I mean, Alexander and I have been together for a hot second, so...
Oh, it was a hot second.
Oh, wow. With all of this, with all of the picking and everything, I realized even more so, like, Alexander and I are 2 very different people, and we have different likes and dislikes, but when it came to this, we were kind of on the same page. I would say more or less we liked the same things. We went in with the same goals. So that was really, thank
easy.
goodness. Can you imagine if we both wanted like a completely different style of house? Like for us, we want our house to feel like our vacation property. We want to feel like we're going on vacation every day, not to our house. I mean, something that's relaxing and
Yeah.
open.
That's the thing is, a lot of the houses they're building right now, if you look in Forest, we're trying to pick a house that's more classic, that has craftsman elements, that has, like I picked hexagonal tiles for the bathroom floor, which are more kind of like a turn of the century kind of element for a bathroom floor, sort of a French bistro feeling kitchen. So craftsman with a little bit of European flair, if that makes sense, with a beach vibe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it didn't make sense when we explained that to people.
But it'll make sense when it's all
It
together.
made sense to us. We went to one place where they're like, because we like some things that have traditional elements, and we'd go to some places where they're very modern and very like, it was almost futuristic. We're like, that's not what we want. And they're like, but this is so old. And we're like, yep, that's the one we want. Like,
Yeah.
regardless how old it is, that's the one we want.
It is a thing though, if you're a person who's working in that industry and your client says we're doing a traditional craftsman home with a bit of a coastal feel, just because you personally as a salesperson like ultra modern,
Yeah.
you shouldn't hear those words and then direct them towards space age stuff.
Yeah.
That
That
is
was
probably
weird.
going to be a fad this year or next year and then be gone. When we were looking at houses in the area before we decided to build, a lot of the newer houses are built, they're very close together in our area anyway. They're very close together. Mojo Man Mike says you're gonna have a basement. Yes, pretty much every house in Canada I think has a basement just about. So there will be a basement there. But we're in this place and we say craftsman style, coastal flavor, very light, very airy, maybe a touch of French bistro in the kitchen. And they go, huh, well, that sounds old fashioned. How about
Yeah.
this, which is really modern this year? And you're looking at it and going, what you're showing me right now is going to be the equivalent of a Harvest Gold fridge 5 years from now. Like it's not, it's not timeless.
There was a lot of things. There were a lot of things, sorry, that you knew were going to date the house. I mean, if we loved it, we wouldn't care and we'd put it in anyways. But the thing is that like for our house, you know exactly what year our house was built because of the cabinets, because of the tile in our kitchen. I mean, we have changed a lot of things.
Yeah,
but
we've changed some stuff, but there are things that say that this house was built
we
in
got
the
rid
early
of the
2000s.
popcorn. That's a big giveaway in our area at least.
Popcorn is just a type of spray that they use on the
Yeah.
ceiling for sound deadening, and it's a style that kind of is considered a little passé right now.
But it does it's like in Eric.
Eric, thank you so much from Blainville. Thank you, Eric.
So the nice thing about popcorn ceilings or stipple is that it does hide any imperfections because houses do settle and move. So it does hide anything that it makes it look very even and
But it
uniform.
looks like a cheap apartment or something. Like it doesn't look
But not
nice.
always. Some people love popcorn.
Yeah. I don't like it.
I'm sorry if you were
Incidentally,
a popcorn lover and he was like, meh.
To all of our friends that are in the Louisiana or the East Coast area and they're hunkering down waiting for the hurricane to pass, I know the eye of the hurricane is going to be approaching you guys right away here. So please be safe and hopefully we can at least distract you talking about house stuff for a little bit. But you guys have much different problems to worry about tonight. So just wanted to send our thoughts and our best wishes to all you out there that you're safe. Bearing down on this bad weather that's hitting
I
you
can't
guys.
even imagine, like here we obviously don't have hurricanes since we're landlocked, but I can't even imagine what you guys are going through. I mean, I think at a certain point you have some kind of emergency kit and you have an idea of what you're going to do, but we would be in big trouble if it were us. So
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I think a lot of people are prepared and have like these are the boards we put on the windows. And,
yeah, they have an idea.
Okay, not in Louisiana yet. They say it's not come this far north.
That's awful. I didn't even hear about that. I don't know what land I've been in for the last 2 days, but I haven't been on the news or anything.
Oh, hello from Brazil.
Brazil.
Now, I wonder if they're from the Portuguese side of Brazil or the Spanish side of. Oh no, Portuguese speaking Brazil.
That's
Como estás hoje? Or como estás? As I think it's like como estás, but a little different. They have lots of ish and oishes in Portugal. Anyway, hello, hola, como estás?
I think the worst is when you know that there is a storm coming and you can see it on the satellite. You're like, oh man, and you're trying to enlarge and you see where your house is and you're just, hoping that it doesn't get you. I hope it peters out before it gets to anybody. I got to be honest.
Oh, electricity is out in New Orleans. Yeah, it's it's not great. The only plus side of heavy rain in New Orleans is it probably washes a bit of the Mardi Gras smell off the streets for a little bit. It people party hard in that town. It's like when you go to Las Vegas and you're like, I wonder what this town is like during the day, and it's like the carnival with the lights on or something. You're like, oh, there's stuff everywhere. I don't know.
Maddie.
Heckon says, caught you live for the first time. Hi from a night owl for once. 3 a.m. in Norway. Well,
3
hello.
a.m. Wow. Good morning, and thank you for coming
And
on.
to Maddie Katana, good day from Australia. Good day from Australia. Australia, thanks for your updates.
Was
That's
it-
terrible.
oh, Irish.
I can't do it. I cannot do an Australian accent. Yeah. I don't know why in Australia they also put a Azza. Like if your name's John or if your name is Charles, you'd be Chazza.
Is that true?
Yeah, or if your name was like Ron, you'd probably be like Raza. Right? Any Australians on here? What's the deal with that, with adding an Azza at the end of everything?
I've never even heard of that.
I Mazza?
Somehow I've been like completely out of the loop for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody's going to give me the answer on
Peter.
that. What's on your wrist, Alex? I know I ask this a lot, but I'm a watch nerd. Nothing is on my wrist.
What?
Do you know
Where is
why
your
there's no watch on my wrist right now? Is because I was working on that old station wagon. It finally came home, and I was getting, I was wrenching. I was a monkey wrench out there today, working on stuff. Oh, no, you don't want to scratch up your watches and stuff when you're working on a car. Plus, it could get caught on something. And I've banged so many watch crystals working on stuff.
Yep. Doc G said, yep.
Oh, I'm Carol. I'm Carolyn, and they call me Kaza.
Cool.
See, I'm telling you, Shaza.
Doc G said, yep. McDonald's is, what is it? Macca's?
Macca's, yeah. McDonald's is Macca's.
Shaza.
I had a friend I worked with named Barry, and they called him Baza. Yeah.
There's Linda.
And they would say
Violet.
if you're going on like on a trip, they would call it. They would say we're going on a recce.
Linda of Iowa is on. Did you get a shirt, Linda?
Yeah, the Linda of Iowa. I diecast Daza. Yeah. Anyway, that's Sharon is Shaza. Yeah. See, but why that za? Why is that suddenly just like a colloquial, friendly thing to say? Like, hello, my name's Bill. I'm gonna call you Baza.
Kylie said, not all names get an Azza. I get called Kyles instead of Kylie.
Oh. Just apparently Australians don't like, they want names to sound more fun than they are.
There was a period when I was in junior high or high school that everyone called everyone by their last name, which was
What would Colonel Sanders be? Kazasaza?
Kazasaza.
Oh, you've been down to have that Kazasaza then? I would never. Barry is a Baza. No, Barry is a Baza? No, they called him Baza. I promise you. The guy's name was Barry, and the Australian guys on our crew called him Baza.
I said no Barry. No, Barry is a Baza.
Oh, Barry is a Baza. Okay. Well, I don't know. Josiah Jazza. Let everybody think of your name right now and eliminate the majority of it and just put an Azza in it. Like, I think if it starts with if your name is Todd, let's say, and who keeps asking me if I sold the Titanic, which did sell, yes, but Todd, instead of Todd, it'd be Taza.
So I thought I was off camera taking the last sip of my wine, and then I saw it very close up, so I apologize for all of you witnessing that. The Irish Enigma said, here in North Carolina, we keep a hurricane supply closets and hurricane tracking apps 24/7, July to October. That's so crazy, like, because it's interesting to see, like, what we all have in our section of the world. Like, we all have something different that we're experiencing. For us this year, for summer, we have a wasp problem. Like a crazy yellow jacket, insane problem, like 0 mosquitoes, which never happens. But wasps, it's insane.
I was corrected about Todd. Todd would not be Taza. He'd be Toddy.
Toddy.
How am I supposed to learn your language? As far as I knew, we were speaking English this whole time. And the only people who, you know what's funny is that in America, we think, oh, they have such a nice English accent, but they don't have an accent at all.
Yeah, right.
They don't have an accent.
We have the
They have
accent.
different dialects, I guess, but English people don't have an accent. We're the ones with an accent. We're in Canada, the United States, or Australia. We have an accent. The English people speaking English are the only ones who don't have an English accent.
But you know what's weird, though? Generally, if you go somewhere and they have an accent, that means that you have an accent to them. But when I'm in the United States, I don't feel like the people that I'm talking to most times have an accent whatsoever, but they'll know we're from Canada, so.
Yeah, they can tell.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like we're from the movie Fargo to them.
No, because that's like the East Coast.
Oh boy, you better watch out for them cookies. They'll get you in the old tum-tum, And they're like, are you from like North Dakota? And we're like, no, we're from Canada. And they're like, oh, that's even more northern than North Dakota. Yeah, they think we're from, they think we're Fargo. We have Fargo accents. I don't think that you and I have that much of a Canadian accent.
I assume that the people, and we all know what it's said about assuming, but if somebody has an accent to me, I know that I have an accent to them. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just not observant when I'm in the U.S.
It was only when I went down to work in Oregon, they said that I didn't have an accent at all until I said certain words, usually that had an O-U-T in them, like the word out or about. But that's because we're taught that way in school. Like I swear there's a teacher and they go A, and when you put a B and an O and U-T, it makes an ow sound. I don't know but how do they teach you guys?
But it's funny, but then they're like, you're saying a boot. And we're most definitely not saying a boot, it's about. So
Ow.
it's so...
And
but
not-
it's so bizarre because when somebody says what it sounds like to them, it's completely different to us.
Kathy says, you don't have an accent to me. I'm from Wisconsin, but live most of my life in Minnesota. You sound like me. Okay. See, northern states, I think maybe. You get a little farther up. But see, I know the difference between when we say I'm wearing a boot and
Yeah,
I'm,
like
it's
on
a,
your foot.
and it's about time. It's an ow and an ooh sound. It's different, but I don't know. But how would it, if you were in certain parts of America, how would you expect us to say it? Like, would it be about? It's about 10:30. Like, is it just A-B-A-T?
I
Is that how you
noticed
spell it?
that a lot of people that I know from the U.S., they won't say, what is it? Is it
A boat.
T? No, curtains. They say, instead of saying curtains with a T, they'll be like curtains.
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 Oh,
Like,
yeah.
the T's just gone. Like it doesn't exist.
That's right. We
Like-
hear that on TV a lot.
Yeah, so they get rid of the T in a lot of the words. So we don't say curtains. We'll say curtains.
It's like, yeah, you're like fountain pen.
Yeah, fountain.
Would be fountain.
Fountain.
Like, it's like the T disappears and it's just a kind of like a guttural
Yeah.
sound.
I noticed that when we first were talking with Heather, and then I noticed it with a lot of people from the States.
Yeah. Oh, we know you're
know.
from Canada. Oh, thank you so much, Kellen. Thank
Thank you.
It's about time you noticed, eh? You hoser. Thanks for noticing our BC buddy out there, eh? Hope them fires aren't treating you poorly
Oh
out there, my friend.
Goodness.
But in the East Coast, it's funny because there definitely is. There's definitely an accent.
Yeah.
We would say it the right way, says John. Well, he said a boat. Like you're riding on a boat? Not John didn't say it, but
boat.
somebody wrote me and said a boat. Oh, it's about 10:30, I'd say.
And then they would be like, "Ooh, you're from Canada."
Or if you're a sailor, that sounds right.
I
Oh,
see
it's a boat.
Susie, bandana grandma.
I don't know. We'll never get it right. I used to get in, see, garage
Is
and
garage.
but Jean says they think that if I said it in my natural Canadian dialect, I would say garage. Garage.
But we don't say garage.
But I say garage now
Yeah.
because so many of you were like, what is up with you saying
I
garage
think I've always
like
said
that?
garage. Like I was taught to say garage, but most times people say garage.
Like here
it's harsh.
in our town, you don't go to a garage sale or yard sale, you go to a garage sale.
Yeah.
But people say it'd be like garage. I'm going to garage sale or garage. It sounds like to them. Garage
Jana
sale.
said they pronounce Atlanta as Atlanta.
I say roof, not rough. But I've heard when I watch American Pickers sometimes, he said, hey, Mike, you going to climb up on that roof? And he's like, yeah, I'm up on the roof. I'm looking around. I'm like, roof. Yeah. Or he says wolf like woof too. It's different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I've heard roof as roof.
Did you think we'd go on a tangent about?
I don't know. They're all into it. Look.
You guys, you know what's interesting though? It is amazing that it's kind of nice to learn about each other because we all come from such different areas. We all have very similar likes and dislikes and like things that we all want in our lives, but then the things that we're experiencing are so very different. So it's kind of nice to have a platform like this where we can learn about other places in the world right from our kitchens, our living rooms.
Somebody said the way I say Chrysler is weird, but Chrysler.
Yeah, Chrysler.
Chrysler in our area, they say it like almost like it sounds like it's a Z sound. Now
Yeah,
for that one, I'll be
Chrysler.
forgiven to be corrected because Chrysler or Chrysler Corporation is an American company with some roots in Canada. So how they say it in Detroit is probably how it's meant to be said, I would think. Just like Porsche is actually Porsche, which I always bothered me because I didn't think if it was as a German word, it would be pronounced Porsche. You wouldn't say Porsche usually, but because I think it's somebody's last name, Porsche, you're supposed to say the and I
It
would
sounds like
never put that in
Porsche
there.
to me is somebody's name. Like, I mean, human's name, and Porsche is the car.
Yeah, but Porsche is, I think it's how it's meant to be said.
No.
How confusing is that? But we say creek and not crick.
Yeah,
I've never
creek.
said crick in my life.
Yeah, but a creek, two E's makes a long E sound. So why would it be
Creek.
crick? It's creek.
No, but Even Heather, my sister, if Heather's on here right now, when I said creek the first time, she's like, wow, you guys talk weird. It's supposed to be crick. I've never heard anybody say creek before. But then somebody wrote me and said that a creek is something a floor makes and a crick is something the water runs to. But then somebody else wrote me and said that a crick and a creek are two different things. I'm telling you, if it's spelled with two E's, we
Oh my
say
gosh.
Creek.
Yeah, because
I
it's
don't
like Ryan said, I've noticed Alex said in some of his videos, let's take a look-see. Is that common across Canada, or is Alex just that unique? I mean, he is that unique.
But you've
I've
heard that
said,
before.
yeah, I don't know if that's just a Canadian
Let's take
thing.
a look-see.
Let's take a look-see. Yeah, right. I didn't.
I guess
think
that is
about-
kind of weird.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Like certain expressions that you say all the time, you don't even realize how bizarre it is until you say it. Somebody points it out, Ryan.
Yeah.
Now we know. Now we'll think of it every time we say look-see.
Yeah.
XYZ Comb said, I've said look-see. Deborah said, oh, my head. How do you say vase? Now you know for me.
Vase?
Do you say vase?
Yes.
This is a deal breaker, Arch.
If I was a doctor, I'd put my gauze in the vase.
But it's a E at the end.
But I wouldn't put my face in the vase.
So that's the thing, like with the rules for words, the E on the end makes the A long. So it should be vase, not vase. If it was a vase, there would not be an E at the end.
But think like an English person who speaks with that accent. Darling, would you mind putting some flowers in the vase, please? It sounds classier somehow. Vase, put the nickels in the vase and I'll do a little tap dance for you. Whoa. Okay, now I'm going to get in trouble with English
What do
people.
Canadians call a hooded sweatshirt? A hoodie.
Hoodie.
Yeah.
We call a beanie a toque.
Yeah.
Nobody else, I think, calls it a toque other than us in Canada.
What's a toque? It's a knitted hat that you put on so you don't freeze to death in winter.
It's even worse to spell, though.
Yeah.
Is it T-O-Q-U-E?
T-O-U.
T-O-U. Yeah. It's a French word for beanie.
It's not a hoodie, it's a bunny hug. I will never remember
Bunny
that, but I
hug.
really appreciate that right now.
That sounds cute, but you can't be in a gang that wears hoodies and be like, yo, guys, we got a gang initiation, but first you got to put on your rough and tumble bunny hugs. We got them all printed today.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. You can't join a gang that wears hoodies and call it a bunny hug. I'm sorry. There's got to be a different word for that. Pullover? I don't know. Yeah,
Never
toque
heard
is
of
a
a
thing.
toque. Today's the day, Meredith. You've heard of a toque.
My dad did say A, though. My dad would say A.
But he would say it really accentuated, like a.
My dad would say A like a 1920s gangster. Oh, looks like we're out of water, eh?
Yeah.
Like that. He wouldn't say it like, but how else do you say it without sounding like a 1920s gangster? Maybe my dad did watch a lot of black and white movies. Dirty Pete, you're gonna shoot me in the back when I walk away, eh? Well, it's ought to teach you a wise guy. Brrr. Anyway.
We say aluminum.
Not aluminium.
Yeah.
But both are correct.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to make a vase out of aluminium.
I'm in Saskatchewan and it's bunny hug. No, it's not, Tracy.
Bunny hug. Lies from Saskatchewan.
Oh
I
my
lived in
God.
Regina and I never once went to a store and saw a sign saying 2-for-1 bunny hugs. I'd be like, what kind of shop am I in?
Somebody said a toque is also a chef's hat. We just call it a chef's hat, I think, right? Like what do you call
The chef hat? Like the Swedish chef wears?
Like the muffin.
It's a chef's hat. I don't know. Maybe is that?
Yeah,
I don't
a
think it's
chef's
called
hat.
a toque.
No, there is a name for it. You know what it reminds me of, you guys? It reminds me of a cupcake liner.
They're saying that this is blowing my mind that I could drive 9 hours from here and be in a different province, which is like our
Whoops.
state, be in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
And I could be like cold and I'd be like, hey, do you have any hoodies? And they'd be like, no, but I got a bunny hug for you. And be like, what am I going to do? I'm like, that sounds cute and fluffy and all, but that's not going to keep me warm. Better be one big bunny to wrap around me.
No, there'd be this big lady in the back who'd be like, hey, honey.
And her name would be Bunny?
Bunny.
Like
Yeah.
her name tag? No, I imagine a giant rabbit. Look, duh. Like somehow it's learned to talk, but it only says duh. It got that far. Somebody sat down and was teaching a giant rabbit. So, your name is Donald the rabbit. Can you say Donald? And it goes as far as duh. They're like, that's good enough. And then this big giant rabbit comes out, duh,
Oh my God.
to hug you. Yeah.
Steve Humphreys said, Alexander, do you think or will you metal tech the property?
Oh, maybe I might metal detect
keep
on the property.
Tell
Okay.
the story. Tell the story.
Okay, so
But how did we find out? What did we do yesterday?
I'm going to explain. We went to an event, and I have to be careful what I say because the people in our new area are now subscribers to our YouTube channel. Some of them are. Like the teenagers are like, we totally checked out your YouTube channel.
You guys are neighbors.
Which is cool.
We are so fortunate. We have all of you who are, I would say, over 90% insanely positive. So we have this huge tier team. Our neighbors in our current area, amazing human beings.
Yeah.
Our neighbors in our new area, amazing human beings.
Super nice. So we got invited over to a little community get together in our new area where our new house, it doesn't even exist going to be.
Everybody could meet the neighbors.
And here's a couple things to know. One is they consider people who moved into that area 4 years ago to be the new people.
Yeah.
Oh, you're the new people. And they're identified by what traits their yard has. Oh, you have the gravel crushed driveway, right? Or you're the place with the lawn tractor that's parked out front. Like, that's how they identify people. Like,
they're like, you're the one that's building a house. I'm like,
yeah, you're the field with nothing in it. Yes, that's us. So really nice people. The only thing that I was hesitant was there was a very nice gentleman who came by. He had a pit bull for a pet, and he said it's very friendly, and I would have believed him if he had not been missing his arm. I'm not making this up. The guy was tethering a pit bull, pulling on this pit bull. Don't worry, she's friendly. Well, tell me that when you've got both. But maybe if I knew why his arm was missing. He's like, don't worry, she don't eat arms anymore. I'd be like a little less nervous. Anyway, lovely guy though.
Yeah, and the dog's friendly. I cuddled it up.
The dog seems friendly.
I can't not cuddle a dog. One day.
I am, truth be told though, I'm still nervous around pit bulls. And I know some of you may, this will divide the room.
Yep.
They're always
prepared.
The dog's going to be friendly until it's not. Any dog, even a small little dog is friendly until it's not. It's just a little dog. You're like, well, that was an annoying bite where a pit bull like takes your arm and runs down the road with it. Anyway, this is not where the story's going. So anyway, I'm gonna get off of that topic now because I don't want a whole bunch of you're gonna have pit bull people who are like, they're the nicest dogs in the world.
I see Heather. But you guys, it's kind of like, here are the three things you cannot talk about: politics, religion, pit bulls.
Yeah. Room divided. Somebody right now is like throwing their phone or iPad across the room.
Unsubscribe.
Yeah. Unsubscribe in capitals. Listen, I'm trying to be politically correct. The truth is the gentleman had a pit bull that seemed friendly and he was missing an arm. That's all I'm saying. I don't know if the two were connected at all. It's like a guy, I remember, was it like a Far Side cartoon and the guy's like had the pet bear and he's like, oh, don't worry, she's friendly. He had like peg arms and peg legs and an eye patch and stuff. Oh, I wouldn't get too close to old Grizzly there. She gets a little ornery in the evenings. Like, no, I'm not going to pet your pet bear. Just like I'm not going to go near the one-armed man's pit bull. You take the cues of the room and you decide what's safe or not. Anyway, I digress.
You say that, and we said it on YouTube. So I mean,
I digress. Well, it's out there.
Nothing's ever safe on YouTube.
He's gonna come up to me and he's gonna shake his. Yeah, he's gonna be mad at me. Anyway, so this is where this is going. This all comes back to our. This all comes back to where we're going with learning more about our property. So guy shows up, super nice guy. And the thing is, what we learned every time we go for a walk around our new area, there's one yard that has huge yard, and he has perfect grass. Like golf course
It's like
grass.
looking at a field with zero weeds and only perfect lawn. And we're like, how is this possible? Because our field right now, I don't know if how much grass it has. You have to squint and imagine that the weeds are grass.
Green.
It's green, but it's not grass.
I call it cutting a cabbage because it doesn't even feel like cutting lawn. It's like there's some lawn mixed in there with the weeds and whatever else is trying to grow. So this guy has perfect lawn, like
And
I would say enviable
perfect.
grass.
Yeah.
Like you just want to roll around on it. Yeah. Like forget a whole bunch of money on a bed like Demi Moore. I want to be on this grass.
Every time we walk by, we're like, why?
We should roll around on his grass one day. We'll film it.
He mows it both ways, like a double mow. Steve, what do you call a long piece of furniture? That's funny that
a couch.
Yeah, we call it a couch. My grandma had
or
it.
a sofa if it's the shorter one. Peter sent us $5. I've got a pug. You better watch out.
But you guys, I don't call it a couch or a sofa. I mean, a couch or a sofa is the long one, and the short one's called a love seat.
I don't know. We just go and pick out different size furniture and sit on it. Not a Davenport or Chesterfield. We don't get fancy like that.
You know, it's funny though. I used to call it a Chesterfield, but a Chesterfield for me was like the older one from like the 70s. You know, like the brown one that has like the cart picture. You know, which one?
Chesterfield.
Yeah, that's a Chesterfield. In
To
my
us,
head.
anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the story. Guy has really nice grass. One of these days, Melissa and I are just gonna go roll around on his grass like kids. Whee! Because it's so plush.
He'll know because we made such a big deal about
And maybe
his
he's watching
grass.
this right now. He's gonna be like, I don't want you guys on my property. But don't worry, we
Yeah.
probably won't roll around on your
Be
grass.
like those archbulbs.
Mind you, his ditch is even nice too. Like the
Yeah.
ditch, so maybe we can roll around in the ditch and that's public land or something. Why am we haven't scheduled it yet, so it's not official.
Oh my goodness.
So here's the thing. Anyway, the guy with the really nice lawn says, I've been here forever. I've been here forever. In fact, I've been here longer than you, and longer than you, and longer than new 4-year-old Pete over there, who's only been here 4 years. And I'm like, if they're new, we must be like the fetus residents because we
That's
don't
what
even
Alexander
have a
said.
house
We're the
yet.
fetus residents.
We're the fetus. If you think somebody's been here 4 years is new, we're like the fetuses. Anyway. He says, I knew Albert. I knew the guy. I knew the German guy. If you guys have been watching the show, you probably knew that we discovered this weird little hole in the ground, right? And we discovered that
We have
maybe...
not actually dug it up yet. Like, I'm not even kidding you guys. It's still exactly how you've seen it.
Well, I'll get to that.
Yeah.
So we found this little... I thought it was a 4x8 sheet of plywood. Turns out it looks like a mine shaft entrance, but it's not a mine. When I was a kid 50 years ago, a pullover hoodie was called the kangaroo. I've heard that before, but not called it that myself. So he says, I knew the German guy. He said he had a survivalist kind of cabin in the woods. And that was his property, that if he felt the world was coming to an end, that he would go out there, and there was a little garden area, and he had a cabin and a few little outbuildings there.
And he figured out the water situation.
And he did have water coming from the creek that went up to his little house. That's why it went up there. This all comes back to somebody asking if we metal detected the property. So we have not metal detected yet, but we got some answers.
Should. Yeah.
He said if you metal detect, you're going to find stuff, because he was sort of reclusive. He was a survivalist sort of guy. When I told him that where one of his buildings used to be, there was what looked like a tunnel entrance, he's like, that wouldn't surprise me if there's an underground tunnel network there, because the guy was like a survivalist sort of guy. So we might have some kind of underground network of tunnels or underground room or something going on down there. Now, it looks like it's been filled with gravel, but then again, we don't know if there was a doorway at the bottom of the stairs and they just filled up to the door. We don't know what's going on down there. So maybe this will be an Oak Island kind of opportunity. I just don't know how motivated I'm feeling to dig up a bunch of gravel to find out it's nothing, but
Gerald.
we'll see. Use a storage steak countertops instead of the Burger King ones. That's right. When I first logged on, I said we had Burger King budget and steak taste, because everything we looked at in the countertop place was like, we like this one. Oh, but sir, it was like,
Stone can get so crazy. Like, I didn't realize. I mean, I realized, but you don't realize until we're like, well, what about something like this? And they're like, that's a $10,000 slab, but you need 3 of them? Well, guess what?
now these guys weren't anything like it, but I want you to imagine the typical concierge from the Flintstones. Yes, that guy. Yes, that's how we felt when you're like, we'd like a room at your establishment. Oh, that's absurd. It was like, we'd like this countertop. Oh, that's out of your budget. But they didn't talk like that, and they didn't look like the concierge. But they were like, ooh, you guys have expensive taste. Was that in Jack Benny? Yes. Anyway, so that's how it felt. It felt like every time we looked at something that we were like, I always feel when we're building this house, I feel like we're the Clampets who like are going in, wow, we each looking for fancy. What you got that's fancy?
It does feel
Doesn't it? Yeah. I feel like the Clampets who have just suddenly decided to build an okay house. And they're like, well, we'd like to have fancy stone for the countertops. I think that'd be real good with the straw hanging out of my mouth. Well, and they're like, yes, but sir, you might want to look over in this section over here. It's much more to what we presume your budget is. And they're like, well, I don't know. We just want to get a cement pond. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're totally going to be the hillbillies with that place.
It's funny, though, because as you're going, you're like, ooh, this is nice. But you have to remember that this is nice might be like $500 more than like, this is fine. And it's fine if it's like one time 500 over, but it's not. It's a million choices.
It's nuts.
So.
Okay, here's an example. We were looking at slabs of stone, and one is like, I don't know, $1,500 or something, right? For a big giant 4x8 slab of granite or whatever.
Yeah.
So not crazy when you
I
just...
said how much that crazy one was.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
It's 10 grand. Or like, well, what about this one that has some shades of green in it? Ah, well, yes. You see, here's the thing. That one, oh my. Oh, they're interested in the green one. Oh, they think they like the green one. Oh, well, you know, the thing is, you really might want to consider something different. That one's $10 million. You're like, oh, well, that is a little bit high. What do you have in our range? Well, if you go out back, there's a chunk of concrete, what looks like a countertop. Like, what happened to your accent? Well, I'm going to change it up for you. Anyway, it's been an experience. But we have granite right now, right?
Yeah, so it was funny because initially I didn't want granite. I'd heard not the greatest things about granite. We went with a granite that we like, and I mean, from before. And it's been fantastic. Like all the horrible things I've heard. To be fair, I have had it a whomping 1 year.
It's been fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fine, but I've only had it 1 year. The hot tip from the installer said to have cleaner that is safe for granite and to put the sealant right in the cleaner. So every time you're spraying the countertop, you're sealing it. But this had like a 12-year seal or something on it. And at our countertop place, he said it's a year seal. So, I mean, a lifetime seal, right?
Yeah. Lifetime seal, they say.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll probably end up going the granite road anyway. Quartz is okay, but they didn't have any sort of pattern that we liked for the quartz. It was all very plain. We're like, if we're just going to do solid
wanted
white.
Quartz initially.
Yeah, and there wasn't really anything there that
It
looked good for
looked
us.
like for us, the quartz in the selection that we had, it looked like somebody took a white slab and they painted, like somebody went in like, this is what marble looks like, and then did like not a great job.
Yeah, like they
It
drew.
wasn't-
It was like a white slab.
Some people really like, so I said that before, and there are a lot of people that really love that exact style. But it didn't look real at all to me. Like it just didn't make sense.
But we did like, there were some amazing countertop materials. They had quartzite. So quartz is kind of like, it's a man-made thing, right? Quartz for the most part. It's a produced countertop with quartz and whatever, and they make it and mold it and whatever. But quartzite is a natural cut stone, like you'd cut marble or granite or whatever. And the quartzite was really, really cool because it had sort of opaque elements and really deep, gorgeous kind of colors and veins. We saw one, it's called Tiffany quartz. If you ever go online and you Google Tiffany quartzite or Tiffany quartz countertops, you'll see we really liked that. We thought it was so different and unique. It looked like the ocean in a stone. And we're like, there's the brown of the sea, there's the green of the tide. Like, it was really, really pretty.
Yeah.
And we thought it would make a nice island for our countertop. That's the one that was like, oh my, the green one. There, just in the Tiffany. Well.
Well, we thought, you know what, we can splurge on something in the house. We thought maybe we can do this just for the island. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, a special part in our house. We were going to figure out a way to do this.
Yeah.
And, you know, at the end of the day, as you're looking at other things that need to be purchased, you realize that, you know, maybe not having a green countertop is the way to go when there were other choices.
It might date our house down the road.
Yeah.
It was really, really
It wasn't
cool.
green. It was like a tealy blue.
It's like Tiffany. It's Tiffany
Yeah, like
green.
this.
It's like that color. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that Tiffany kind of color. It was really, really
So,
cool.
I mean, to be fair, it was like Blue Mountain in Italy. So they had to
go and find a mountain that was that color.
Yeah.
And then they go and cut these perfect size squares out, ship it over to Canada, put in a warehouse here. And I'm like, it's expensive. That would have been darn impossible like 100 years ago or 200 years. They wouldn't even be a thing. They'd be like, nah, we're picking rock that we dug in your backyard and that's what you're getting. You know, there's no fancy like, oh, it's from that mountain in Italy.
Well, we ended up finding something that was nice. I think we ended up going with a granite, right? Was it granite or a marble?
Granite.
Is it?
Yeah, we went granite. It's kind of cool. It's called Fantasy Brown.
Yeah. If you look it up on Google, chances are really likely that you're going to see it.
Two of the least likely words put together, fantasy and brown. Brown doesn't really... I wish they would have said like fantasy sand or fantasy ocean or something. But fantasy brown. Brown is just kind of like a... Like if you said, hey, what color is your new car? Or what color was your dad's station wagon back in 74? If you said it was fantasy brown, you'd be like, yeah, that's probably like a dark brown metallic, not that fantasy. But fantasy brown for a countertop was all right. It looks pretty good.
This isn't a good picture of it.
Well,
But it kind of looks like that. I don't know.
that's
if you guys
kind
can
of what
see
our
it.
counters are going to be like.
But it is more
It's
of
swirly.
this looks like gray. Ours is a little bit more brown. And then in the white kind of sections, the kind of clear quartz sections have a tiny bit of kind of teal in it.
Yeah, so if
So-
you look it up at the same time, you can look up Fantasy Brown. That's what we're. That'd be
Going
an
for it.
awesome name in high school, though. If you're like, if your last name was Brown or whatever,
Yeah,
you'd be like,
fantasy brown.
hey, that's right.
It's
You can
kind
call
of nice
me.
having like a warmer, because if we're doing all white tone, I mean whites and very light colors, it's kind of nice to have something warmer on the countertops anyways. So
Yeah.
initially I wasn't a fan because the one that I liked we couldn't have. It's so hard when you're like, yes, finally we picked the one, and they're like, there's one. Oh, come on. Like, it was so frustrating. And then you don't want to be the spoiled brat that found one, but
Yeah. Let's see.
you see it before we do.
Yeah. I'm just looking nice. My upholsterer teacher said it should be called a sofa, not a couch. Well, I trust upholsterers. Let's see.
That's what she said for that.
What the heck else is going on? So we're trying to pick and make all these selections. We're waiting right now for the county to give us. We have our development permit. It's the DP. The development permit is issued, and you have to do things in 2 orders. And it's usually the same, I think, in most places. You have to get permission to do stuff. They're like, yeah, okay, you can look into developing this land, and they stamp it and say, yeah, you have a development permit. That takes a while. And then the next one is you have to get a building permit, which means you can actually start. We like what you're planning, and now you can actually build that thing that you're planning. And so we've gotten past the development permit stage, and we're waiting for the building permit. But this is Canada. And this is fall is approaching, winter is approaching. If we don't get shovels and dirt soon, we might be delayed until spring, or we pay the price of a very expensive build, a winter build, because they have to tarp and heat and do all that stuff so the concrete is there and so the guys don't freeze to death. We are trying to get framed and insulated before winter hits.
The biggest thing that we need to get in is the foundation. The
Foundation, yeah.
If that cement can set up, it has to be above -5. This is like some true Albertan problems, because like we could get -5 any day already, and we're in August. So and
Yeah,
today
you never
was
know.
hot.
Yeah, it's really hit and miss how the weather can change. We could have nice all the way until Halloween.
Yeah. Or
some-
wait until November or
Right,
December.
or sometimes December it's warm, like above freezing here.
Sometimes September it snows. Like there's no.
Yeah, you just don't know what you're gonna get. So there is definitely a push for us to start digging sooner than later, and it all is based on the turnaround time for this building
But I think
permit.
they said that they might be able to get it across desk by next week, right?
I'm supposed to call them back a few days, like probably around Wednesday or Thursday. If I call in,
I
they
hope.
should have an update.
If you could just, cross your fingers for us, some toes, prayers maybe,
What if their eyes are crossed?
eyes crossed.
They're just
Don't be
lucky all the
driving.
time.
Don't be driving.
If you have crossed eyes, you're just good luck all the time.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Except unless you're driving and you're bad luck for your passengers or pedestrians.
Yeah.
Let's see what else has been happening. Today I have been parallel parking with Steven nonstop pretty much. Why have I been parallel parking with Steven? Well, he's planning. I'm like a politician where I ask my own questions. What am I going to do about taxes? Like they ask something different.
I'll tell
Like,
ya.
what about that scandal in the motel room? Taxes? Well, let me tell you what I'm going to do about taxes. Like, that's not what we asked. It's like a politician's thing. I've been parallel parking with Steven, but this is what I'm going to do anyway. And why have I been parallel parking? Because he is going in for his driver's exam tomorrow. And with any luck, he'll have his license. He got his learners a couple years ago. When you're 16 here, you can get your driver's license. You can start operating a car on your own. Yeah, we're hoping for him. He saved up and bought himself that car with his art money a while back, and we're hoping he'll be able to drive himself to school. So fingers crossed for Steven tomorrow. And in fact, after this live feed, I'm going to go back out. We're going to practice a little bit more so he feels really confident with it. But I think he's going to do great. I have confidence in him. And I think we're down to just parallel parking pretty much.
Yeah.
How do you feel about parallel parking?
He knows how I feel. Look at his face. Now
Well,
you guys know how I feel about parallel parking.
When was the last
So,
time you parallel parked?
I parallel parked maybe 3 times in my life. That's how much I love parallel parking.
What
I
do
will
you do?
avoid, I will drive around, I will park 10 blocks away to not have to parallel park. I hate it so much. So I parallel parked during my exam, and I didn't do well, but it was ice rain the day that I had to take my exam, and I slid next to the curb, and I'm like, that counts. And she counted it, but I should have failed. So the second time I thought I was the best parallel parker in the world after I got my license. And I'm like, Mom, get in. And I took her to show her how well I parallel parked. And I did it really fast. And I went up on the curb and just about hit the tree on the curb, you guys. And then I think third time, I mean, right before that, I parallel parked like perfect. That's why I had such high confidence of my abilities. And I've avoided it ever since. So that's why Alexander has taught Stephen how to parallel park. And he was getting frustrated because it is frustrating when you're first learning a new thing. But the truth is, I am so very proud of him that he's persevered and he keeps on trying. And I mean, it's important to fail because that means that you're trying and that you're learning something. So
You know what? After we get the parallel parking down pat, I'm going to teach him the e-brake slide to get into a parallel parking spot.
My goodness.
Where you just drive at it, spin, pull your e-brake, and then just, like you've seen on YouTube or whatever.
Don't worry,
That'll
you guys.
be Steven's next trick.
I'll film that when Alexander shows him how it's done.
We're going to get him a hopped up Mini Cooper, and I'll teach him how to e-brake power slide into the stalls.
I've never tried the parking assist. Mine does have parking assist. I'm terrified to hit somebody else's car, so unless I can use my own eyeballs, although you heard my story about driving up onto the curb in the tree, so I mean.
Heather says she hates parking too.
See?
Heather hates driving more or less, because when I went to Colorado to visit, she's like, "Nuh-uh, you're going to be doing the driving." And I'm like, "Okay, I like to drive."
Yeah.
And so I drove, and we drove all around and stuff, but she's not a big fan of driving. I drove with her a couple times, and usually it's either my brother-in-law Dorian or myself that were doing the driving. And it's fine. It's good. Now I know my way around Colorado Springs and a little bit of Denver.
The car insurance higher premiums with male teenager drivers than it. It used to be like that, but apparently it's not so bad anymore. The thing is that when you're a beginner driver or a GDL, your what is it called? Graduated driver's license, I think.
Yeah.
The insurance is insane, regardless if you're female or male. And they have no tolerance at all for any mistakes while you're in that trial period.
Yeah, you can't speed, you can't get a ticket for anything.
For Stephen taking the driving lessons, it ends up counting as 2 years experience driving. So that'll help him with insurance. And then once you hit 25, regardless if you're a male, female, your insurance is supposed to go down. I don't know if that's still how it works since I'm not in insurance, but that's how it was anyways for me.
Steven says he has no intention of speeding. However, he is now starting to look at vintage Nissan 300ZX cars. And I'm like, that's kind of a fast car, Steven. That doesn't seem like the type of car that you wouldn't go fast. And he's like, yeah, I really like the 300s or the 350s with the wide body kit and stuff. I'm like, oh, what's happening here? Is my kid turning into like a tuner car driver? This is going to be bad news, I can tell you right now.
He drives very safe.
He's a very safe driver.
He loves when I'll go driving with him because he's like, look, Mom, we have a scary road that we have to drive down that's by our house. And I've got to say, I really hate driving that road. And he's very safe driving that road.
He's very safe, yes.
Yeah.
But his dream car right now is a 300Z or Z. See, there's another king.
Why are you saying Z?
I'm saying Z and Z for both people in Canada and the United States and wherever they're else. So I say it both ways, see?
What about the people in Germany?
I should have taught Steven the power brake slide for his driver's test. That'd be awesome. Now, I'm going to be grading you on... And the guy, that whoever's going to do the driver's exam is just like, let's get this over with and hope I don't die. Like, this is my life now. I'm sitting here practically killing myself on a daily basis. And it'd be great. Like when they did do you guys ever see the skit where Jeff Gordon went to a car dealership and pretended he was like a minivan dad? And he's like, oh, heck, this new Corvette looks pretty fancy, but gosh, I don't know if I'd be able to drive it. And then he went and did like all kinds of crazy burnouts and the guy screaming the whole time. My dad laughed so hard at that, he was crying. That's the one thing, my dad just lost it when he was watching that skit because the guy was like losing his head. You have to tell me in the comments if you've seen that before. Is Jeff Gordon taking a car out for a test drive? Anyway, it was a funny video. Whether you're a Jeff Gordon fan, I'm not going to get into the politics of NASCAR. Heck, I already brought up dogs 5 minutes ago. I'm not going to talk about NASCAR, but it was a funny video. And the poor guy, if you haven't seen it, basically he's in disguise. You can't tell who he is. And he goes to a car lot and he pretends like he doesn't really know how to drive his minivan that well, let alone a sports car. And he shows some interest in a Corvette. Guy gets in the Corvette with him and he does all his crazy Jeff Gordon stuff and scares the pants off the poor fellow, like screaming so loud that there's spit flying out of the guy's mouth. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, it's a funny watch. It's on there somewhere. But yeah, it was something all right. Yeah, that's what I imagine we should do with Steven in his driver's exam. give him like NASCAR training or race car training, and then set him loose with the driver with the driver's exam test. Yeah.
I've seen the one with the girl too, where she's a race car driver. And she goes for, I don't know if it was her exam or if she was in driver's training. Maybe it was her exam, and then she scares them. I mean, and then there was some guy that was super sexist, and I mean, and she's like, "What do you think about girl drivers now?"
Oh, maybe it was the Chevy Camaro. Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, the stunt.
Danica Patrick, she's Canadian too. She was she did CASCAR, and what was the other one? Indy here. Anyway.
What was your first car?
My first car? What do you guys think my first? I've probably brought this up before.
I know what it is.
Well, yeah, you know. Do you guys have? Okay, what do you think that my first car was when I have $5 in my pocket and I had? I've told this story before about how I got it. Somebody says Ford Escort, Volkswagen Bug, Buick Regal.
Let's see who gets it. I know somebody will know.
You'll never get it unless you've watched the show. You'll never get it.
Let's see.
If they've watched the show, it's not something that you'd get.
Hyundai Pony.
No.
Alex's first car was a Mercedes.
No.
My first car was a Mercedes.
La-ti-da.
But it was I called it the Mama-mobile.
Somebody said I did a ice U-turn slam against the curb in Yellowknife parallel park once in a rental. Well.
Pinto.
Hope you had the extra insurance.
I don't know why I held Pinto.
No.
Oh wait.
I will tell you the story of my first car.
Jim Gerlinski.
Jim Gerlinski says DeSoto. Jim, we know Jim. You know that Jim is building us wrought iron gates for the front of our store.
Jim,
that's
you're
Blacksmith
good.
Jim. He came out to the Potter's house. And I said, any man who has a beard like that, and this is a beard that Hans was like, I thought I had a beard, but man, that's a beard. Jim got it correct. It was a DeSoto. My first car was a 1949 DeSoto, and I'm going to play this out, how I got the DeSoto. Some of you remember this from other episodes. I think I brought it up once
Brett
before.
knows. You saw?
Yeah. So I went to a yard sale. At this yard sale, there were some 78 RPM records. I bought them. In the 78 RPM records was Elvis 78 in perfect condition, and it was One Night. One night with you is all I'm asking for. Anyway, it was One Night. It was Elvis. It was really good.
It was really good.
At the time, because I'm old, there was no internet to look stuff up on to see what stuff was going for. So you had a price guide. You know, you'd go to a library or whatever, you'd buy a price guide. And it was a price guide. So you go through the price guide and they said, Elvis, they're all worth like $45 or whatever. But One Night, rare pressing, they don't come around that often. $500 is what they said the value was. I'm like, what? So I'm going through the paper and I'm looking at used cars, and somebody says they got a 49 DeSoto and they're asking $750 for it. And we end up, I go to look at it. And the guy says, listen, I don't need this car. He bought a 36 Dodge two-door coupe that he was turning into a hot rod. And when he bought the Dodge, the guy said, you got to take this DeSoto with it. So it was kind of a throw-in. So for him, he didn't really care about it. So I said, what if? And I'm like 15 at the time. Apparently I talked like the kid, making fries on The Simpsons. Oh, what if I gave you this $500 Elvis record and $100 cash? And he's like, I don't even need this car. That's fine. You can take it. So I get the car and driving it back, the exhaust, it ran, which was a surprise, but the exhaust probably had mouse nests in it because they were shooting out the back. And the car is filling up with smoke from burning mouse nests and stuff. So I got my head out the window. I get the car home and we polish it up. There's a picture of me and my friend Jason Chan. And Jason appears on some of my videos. I've been friends with him since grade 7. He's one of my oldest friends. Not one of my oldest in age. Jason, you're one of the oldest people I know. Why, heck, I'm surprised you're still walking. No, he's one of my dearest friends that I've known the longest. He and I worked on that car, got all cleaned up, and I never did drive it as my daily car, but my first car was a 49 DeSoto. It did run and drive. The funny thing is, this is how different life is. So I had this 49 DeSoto. I was 15 or 16 at the time. We ended up cleaning it up. My mom did the upholstery and the headliner and the door panels. We got the car looking good. The car sells, and I ended up buying a 61 Buick, and that's what I drove in high school. Fast forward. Actually, no. I sell it to a guy who owns a classic used car lot, and his son, who's maybe like 10 years older than me or something. Not like a whole lot older, but he's like in his early 20s or something. I'm 15. So he's a little bit older than me. These guys buy the car, they sell it their classic car lot. Now we can fast forward. There, now we're back. And I go and I buy a 1960 Plymouth station wagon from that same car lot from the kid who was there who bought my DeSoto like 28, 29 years ago or something like that. And now he's an adult, grown-up person, and he's running the lot with his dad still. And they own the little lot. But yeah, the guy that owns the little lot here in Edmonton is the guy that bought my very first car, the DeSoto, and then I just bought a car back off of him not that long ago. It's funny how the world works. You end up becoming friends with somebody who you barely knew and you were both kids, but both liked old cars at the same time. It's a funny twist of fate, that is. But that's how she goes. But that was my first car.
Teresa has a good question.
Okay.
Have all of your cars been previously owned by wildlife?
Yeah, pretty well. Her question was, have all my cars been previously owned by wildlife? Yes. I think that there's been animals and rodents in most cars. Hey, I've had a few nice ones.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah.
when the prior residents were furry and ate the interior, you get a better deal on it. And I guess I've always been at the raccoon eating price point on things. I wasn't in the, I'm going to go buy a Rolls Royce that's already in nice shape price point. I was in the, I'm going to buy one that's really junky and see if I can fix it.
Yeah, my car didn't have any rodents in it yet.
Yeah.
Hopefully I don't. You know, every once in a while, I really hope that I don't forget the kids' snacks in there. I'm that mom, you guys. I don't let the kids or anyone eat in the car. But occasionally I'll forget the snack bag in there anyways, so I'm just as bad.
In my car, if you're hungry enough, you reach down and grab a rodent carcass and gnaw on that. I'm sure it turns into like mouse jerky after a while. You just...
What was my first car? I mean, I'm obviously not a car person. I know it was a Mercedes and it was gray blue.
We paid, I think, $2,700
No, but
for it.
what was it?
And it was a Mercedes 280D. It was a W123 body style.
I thought D meant diesel.
No, it wasn't a diesel. It was a Mercedes 280. Anyway, it was a four-door. They love these cars in the Middle East and stuff because they're revered as being an amazingly reliable and robust vehicle, and they look nice too. They're one of the most reliable Mercedes you'll ever find. If you ever find like a mid-70s to mid-80s Mercedes-Benz, the W123 series, those cars are bulletproof.
Oh, so for my first car story, I'm going to try to make it quick. We ended up going to a car lot. We saw the car, but we were smart and we went ahead and we saw how long it had been sitting on their lot. And we knew that it had been sitting there a while. And
it was a trade-in. They weren't happy with it.
Yeah, you need to get that off your lot. So unfortunately for them, we went in with that information. So they wanted $8,000 for it, and there was no way that was happening. So we offered them $2,500, and they're like, no. They basically laughed, and we're like, all right, like that's our actual offer. That's an actual offer. And then they called us, and they're like, listen, we talked to our boss. We can take it down to $6,000. And that was right after they said we can't come down from $8,000. It's a car lot, they can come down. So especially on a trade-in. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. If it's not $2,500 and a full tank of gas, we're not interested. And they are like, oh, that's ridiculous. Sure enough, I come home, and I guess they'd called back, and they said, look, we'll give it to you. They gave it to us, $2,500, full tank of gas. I came home, and Alexander's like, he opened up the garage, and my car was in there. I'm like, yeah.
It was a surprise.
But so in that car, we were on a busier road in Edmonton, and somebody rear-ended us. Their whole car was like crushed in. And I had the tiniest, you couldn't even see the dent. This was like a tank that I bought. It had the tiniest little dent right underneath the license plate. The only problem was that it caused the whole body ripple, so it was a write-off anyways. But I mean, that was a tank of a car.
It was a tank. Part of the reason we got it cheap was that the paint was faded and needed to be painted.
But it didn't look
great. It had also been on the lot forever.
They were coming up to the year, so they would have had to claim that again on their taxes and everything.
Well, they were going to auction it, and then they weren't convinced they were going to get very much at auction. So we basically, sometimes you can get deals at car lot. I am always hesitant to buy from a car lot because, I don't know. I just like to buy from somebody and I can talk to them about the maintenance and talk to them about everything.
I think from our experience, you're going to probably pay the most at a car lot for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
I mean, we bought the one from my cousin's
Well, your car came from your current one.
Yeah, that was my cousin's car lot, though. Like,
yeah.
That's when we learned that, car lots aren't in the business of selling cars. They're in the business of selling financing, which I didn't realize. I was, again, very naive. I thought you could just go in and buy a car. I was mistaken.
Well, we shared that story how we went to a dealership and
Yeah.
they're like, if you're not looking to finance a car, we don't need your business.
They wouldn't let us buy it cash. Like they wouldn't just let you go and buy a car. You had to finance it.
Isn't that crazy? They give you a price and then you go to buy it and they're like, what, you mean, do you just want to buy it? Like, we'll finance it for you, but we don't want to sell it to
No,
you.
they didn't want to wouldn't let us just buy a car. And then they had to, like, in that one place, they had to call their boss and be like, we have to make sure it's okay to take cash.
Yeah, and you came and looked me up and down to see if I was like an actual serious buyer. It was so insulting. Anyway, Rex says, greetings from Beth and Rex in Wickenburg. Oh, Beth and Rex in Wickenburg, Arizona. Please use this for rodent removal for your next classic car. Wow. You know, I didn't need 20 bucks for rodent removal. I just put my hand in a plastic bag and just inside out the bag.
No,
with
while screaming.
No, I don't think I've ever had one show up with live rodents in it. It's always been carcai. Is that carcasses? Many carcasses. Let's just say it's like, yeah.
I don't know if you guys
Lots
have
of
heard the
dead
story
mice.
before. He has told it before, where he reached underneath and he was looking to see what was under the seats, and he pulled something out, and his brain, eventually when you realize what you're holding, and it was like a little mouse skull.
Yeah, I thought maybe, when you pull a seat out of a car or you check under your couch cushion, you're hoping there's like a quarter or maybe like a 50-cent piece or something random down there. And you're like, well, that's odd. This feels like a wooden marble. And you pull it out and it's a little skull. You're like, ah! That happened to me. Yeah. Oh, the joys of cars. But I'm going to do an update video soon on the station wagon that I picked up. And it is actually coming along pretty good. So video to come soon on that.
Oh, good thing I didn't spoil anything about it.
But with that, guys, it's been over an hour here. We're going to log out because I promised my son I'd go and take him out to do a little bit more parallel parking before it gets super dark out. So I have to be a dad. I get to be a dad, and I want to go teach my son parallel parking before his test tomorrow. So I'm going to go do that. But guys, thank you so much for watching today's live feed. We'll be back at it with some more info soon. The RCMP trunk that I had on the last live feed we did has sold to a private museum. I know there was some concern about where it would go, but it went to somebody who was ex-forces themselves, and they have a museum that they're putting together. So it did go to a private museum, so it'll be in very good hands.
Yeah.
And it stayed together as one collection, and he's going to do a whole little write-up on the guy that had it and everything, so it's going to be great. Either way, guys, I hope you have a wonderful evening. We will see you all soon, and as always, bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.